Press was like, well, that's when I started working when I first moved here. Sorry, I started working here when I first moved here, which is, you know, it's difficult because it's a transition period. For me, although it's New Rivers, it's somewhat grounding. You know, coming into work and it's exploring something new. It's exploring art, literature, and then also with design. Those combinations.
So you feel it's a place for you to grow?
Yeah, it is. It is. That's. I mean, ultimately, that's kind of like the beginner's guide to design or whatever. Designing an interior. There's hopefully some metaphors rolling along within that. That was the design of it, because it's, you know, as you're, because it is a workplace, and so you're building, you know, skills for working, you know, skills to work on your own stuff, as well as other people's, which is ultimately refreshing. You know, you get to see so many different manuscripts come across. Some of them are good, some of them are not so good, but you get to see those things. You get to work with people that are interested in literature and the arts. You get to exchange ideas. You know, what does it mean to be? What does art mean? What does literature mean? All sorts of things. Yeah. So that's kind of what it.
Important questions.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Paper Camera, you contributed to that. So how is, like, what do you see Paper Camera? What is Paper Camera, and how have you contributed to it?
It's an amalgamation of kind of New Rivers Press, spanning multiple generations, you know, multiple states even. You have Truesdale, you know, pieces from him are in there. Then you have authors, then you have past editors, and then even allow, you know, students like us to have a say, because we are an integral part of New Rivers Press, and that's the idea of the teaching press. And, giving us, you know, a chance to reflect on our learning experience and also what we have learned. It's kind of cool, you know, to have an essay next to like Tom Tamaro and Al Davis, you know, who've been doing this for years. You know, Tom has how many collections that he's assembled. Al's overseen so many different books, you know, and it's kind of cool. And then we, you know, not to mention even the founders that spent all the time building it up.
That's cool. So what did you contribute to Paper
Camera?
Yeah,
I contributed, I can't even remember the title. It was like Designing an Interior, like a beginner's guide, I think it was.
Something like that.
And that was actually the assignment for my GEA. It was after, it's kind of like, what did I do that first year of my GEA? What things did I learn? What did I struggle with? What I hope to improve? You know, those types of things.
So as you've been with New Rivers Press for a couple of years, where do you see it going?
Where I see New Rivers going? Well, where I see it, I think it's going to be integrated more within the university, I hope, anyway. I think, oh goodness, this is a raw question, and I'm not exactly sure. I hope that it continues to use the students and allows students potential to, you know, to try to work with authors. I think that's really important. There's so much learning beyond just the actual, like designing, doing the interiors, or even copy editing. There's, you know, if you have to talk with an author, you realize the amount of work that the author does to get something to a certain place. You know, that's integral in of itself, not just copy editing. So when it's real, you know, there's a little bit more real stake to it.
Cool, and you even answered my last question that I was even going to ask about how does it function as a teaching press?
Yeah, that's tough, because you know, it puts a lot on you as a student. You know, it guides you, but ultimately the student, you know, you're going to get as much out of it as you put into it. You know, if you go, that's how it is for everything, right? But if you study it, and if you really work at it, you can do some really great things.
That's cool. How long have you been with New Rivers Press?
So I guess almost 3 years, or academic years, so really, 2.5. Cool. So, been doing some stuff over the summertime. That's always fun getting called in.
Nice.
Where I see it going, I didn't really answer that yet. Should I go back? I don't know.
Sure.
Okay.
You have more thoughts on it.
Well, I think what I know we're trying to do is we're trying to get New Rivers is kind of focuses on new and emerging writers. That we're actually working on a project for an author that has a lot of novels and stuff, but it's just, collection of poems. He has 2 other poetry books, but not really out there, and we're gonna work with him. Although it's not his major genre.
Yeah. So it's like he's emerging into a new genre.
Yeah, and it's something that he may not have been able to focus on because he had all these other novels to write, different series, and so he's working on poetry, something maybe, and so we take an extra care in those type of things. I think that emerging writers is a good thing, but I think we're also branching off into e-publications as well. It's another thing to keep up with that trend, and I think it's important too, especially for a smaller press. You have to be able to navigate markets in ways, in multiple ways.
Cool.
Yeah, but they end up using, a lot of people have gone through the publication certificate. Ryan, he works with them quite extensively. He's kind of designed and set up the online book awards type of thing, which is kind of a cool thing. He was one of the first people to go through the publication curriculum, worked for New Rivers Press, and has continued to work for them afterwards.
Cool.
What else? I hope it continues.
Yeah.
I hope it keeps going. And I know that I think there's going to be some, I don't know if this is necessary, but I think there's going to be an endowment for them as well, which is...
I know there's one grant that they got for the paper camera and whatnot, but yeah.
I mean, that's important. I think, recording something, part of a regional history at times, maybe not so much, it's no longer Minnesota Voices Project, it's no longer that, but it's Many Voices Project. But there is still a certain aesthetic that, they kind of look for in the approach, and I think it's a solid contemporary aesthetic, it's something, continue moving on. Not moving on, like disregarding tradition, but I think there's a steadfast to that literary tradition, but also in
progressing.
Yes, yeah, it's complicated.
Yeah.
It's not getting caught up. I think, what was it, Truesdale actually said in his essay, he's never been one to get caught up in the schools. Good literature is good literature, good writing is good writing, whether it's, this out of here, this type of writing, if it's good, it's going to be good. And they're going to, publish it, and that's kind of a cool thing. You don't want to resign yourself to, publishing only certain types of quality work. So,
cool.
I think we're going to keep doing that.
Sweet. Redweather doesn't publish through New Rivers Press, though?
No,
They're not associated.
But that's, we hope to get New Rivers Press a little bit more involved in Redweather, I guess, as like a guiding, it's another publication opportunity for students to work on.
Yeah.
Redweather, and that's something that's going to be more, they're going to be running it and operating it. But Redweather could really use some help from, like, Suzanne or Al, those type of people to really...
Yeah, that'd be cool if like the intro to publishing class could work with it, could be in the same time frame.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
or at least be, okay, we can do this, but we also have this, and kind of like shuffle more.
There's a lot of people in the intro to publishing class.
Okay. Well, someone should really, has anybody emailed you about that? God. They should have. It's fun. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's our question.